I had this idea the other day. I used the phrase to somebody that something is not a rule if you don't get caught, or something isn't, you're not breaking the law unless you get caught doing it. And I started to actually think about it, and I've come up with this idea of the formal law and the authentic law. The formal law is what's on the books. Authentic law is what is enforced, and it's an authentic law as it's being enforced, which means that there are different kinds of formal laws. There's an active formal law. An active formal law is one that's authenticated frequently. So people who speed, or their speeding tickets are handed out all the time, so that's an active formal law. An inactive formal law would be a law that's not authenticated, hasn't been authenticated in a very long time, or ever. Like, there was a law in the colonies that said that rebellious children should be put to death, but this was not an authentic law because it was never enforced. It was just on the books. Or I think there's some law somewhere that says you can't mix pies and ice cream. It's a formal law, but it's not an authentic law, so it's an inactive formal law. So that's my view. Maybe we should think of it like that. And I also thought of a thought experiment. If you had a country that was a normal state-run country with laws and stuff, but you had one pocket, like one bad neighborhood where policemen never went, therefore no laws were ever enforced, I would say that area is still under a formal law, but no authentic law, and therefore no law at all. Because to me, authentic laws and maybe perhaps active formal laws are the only real laws, and inactive formal laws are not the really real. So if you have a neighborhood where there's no laws being enforced, then there's no laws. That's why when I said to this person, a rule is only a rule if you get caught, I think she might have misinterpreted me, because usually when someone says that means that they plan on breaking the law or the rules all the time. That's not really what I meant. I meant more philosophically that a law is not a law if you break the law and you don't get caught, then you have broken a formal law, not an authentic law, for you've gotten away. I guess you could say, in that action of breaking the law, no real laws were broken because you were not arrested or punished for it. So that's why you can break a formal law but not break an authentic law, because you got away with it. And I don't really like the term "got away with it" because it has value judgments associated with it. Like, if you get away with something, it sort of implies that the thing you did was bad. It's not always the case, because sometimes a law can be bad. Like Jim Crow laws, they were bad. You can get away with breaking them. That doesn't mean you did something bad, because those are laws that should be broken, because they're unjust laws. And another tangent real fast of how it is that unjust laws can exist. It seems to me the case that the question of what is morally right and wrong and what is legal and illegal are two different questions that deal with two different areas of knowledge. And therefore, you can have something which is legal and immoral, and something or like a law that's immoral, like Fugitive Slave Law, the Fugitive Slave Act, whatever. It's stuff like that. But yeah, that's basically my idea. There's two types of law: authentic and formal breaks down into active and inactive. I suppose there's an in-between between active and inactive. Like, it's authenticated, but rarely. Like, it's a law that exists on the books, but very rarely does anyone ever punish for it, but they do get punished once in a while. And I thought of another thought experiment. If you had a city where murder was illegal, but no one ever murdered anyone since the entire time that law was enacted, then I would say that there's no real law against murder. There's a formal law, but there's no real law against murder, because no one murders and no one gets arrested for murdering. And since no one has been arrested for murdering, the law hasn't never been authenticated. Therefore, it's only formal, not really a law. Because it's only really a law if people get arrested for it. But it is still a formal law, so it's still important. It's still very important. It's still very much the case that if you do murder someone in that town, chances are good that it will be authenticated on you by you being arrested. So that's basically my idea.